This is Jared Feldman. I'm recording my follow-up analysis to my librarian interview. Um, I interviewed I interviewed Catherine Sullivan, the head of reference at UMBC in the Alban Okun uh, Library and Gallery. I met her briefly when I visited this library for my academic library visit, and thought she would be a good person to interview more specifically about what she does and the role she has within their library. Um, I asked her, I had about 10 questions prepared, starting with how long has she been with UMBC and in what roles? And she's been with UMBC since 2002, starting as a reference librarian for about 10 years, and then became the assistant head of reference, and then is currently the head of reference and has been for about 7 years. She graduated in 1998 with an MLIS degree and started at Towson University. About UMBC is only about 5 minutes from where I live, and Towson is probably about another 30 north. It's basically the same area, same county even. She has a history background, enjoyed research, and that's sort of what drove her towards academic librarianship and working in reference. Reference was more of a coincidence, she said, but it's kind of where she came from. She did start with archives, but found out that that was just not really what she wanted to do. Um, Two of the specific questions I asked her were, what does she specifically do as the head of reference? And I kind of combine this with what a day-to-day looks like for her. She'd said basically that a lot of day-to-day is really similar to what a reference or research librarian would still do in helping with, but basically what makes her work specific was that she attends a lot of meetings. She's on a seven committees, I believe, if I uh, paid attention properly. Um, and aside from doing basic day to day and basically being a manager for her department and having meetings with the archive group, and the gallery group that's there, her big thing that she does as head of reference is multiple committees, including faculty senate, um, faculty senate as a representative for the library is her big one. The other specific question I asked for her, um, the other one I spoke asked was like, what brought you into reference? And then, well, like I said, that was sort of um, for her, that was sort of just a coincidence, sort of what happened. Uh, One of the other basic questions I asked was, what she sort of like and dislike about the job? And wasn't what she said she disliked about it, nor about UMBC in particular. In fact, she really enjoyed uh, UMBC. Her personally, she liked working with students, the colleagues, librarians. Uh, really enjoys the work. She said what she disliked the most was there's a lot of unrecognized labor. If anybody is familiar with sort of in the way that what teachers deal with, where you do a lot of work outside of your hours, um, that just really you're basically not getting paid for. Uh, let's see. One of the big pieces of advice I got from her was about one point I asked, is there any sort of coursework or classes, such as seminars or anything else you recommend taking when in school, or any you recommend taking as a professional or deemed necessary? Um, One of the big things she recommended was just start getting involved with conferences and different groups, local in particular, but national helps too. And she, for me specifically, recommended the Maryland Library Association, as it's mostly a public and academic association, and that is where I lean more towards what I'm interested in, and the ACRL, whose acronym I did not write down because we were talking a lot, but and have not looked up again yet. But that's, I believe she said, it was the research branch of the American Library Association, and she really emphasized like professional development works. Like that is like it, you think maybe it sounds like you need to be networking. It is unfortunately about who you know. Even if you love the work and love what you do, it helps you have those uh contacts, those connections, even for simple stuff. One of the things she really said that stuck out to me was she talked about how I asked her if there were any barriers that she had faced, and she's like, not really. It is as we know from our lessons earlier in the semester, and uh, as we've observed, she did say like she is, she's a white woman. She's like aside from like really top level stuff, there were a lot of barriers that she faced. Aside from anything self-inflicted, she said when she was going through her degree, she didn't really. If she came in, she did her work because she was working full time as well. She did what she had to do and kind of tried to didn't really focus on trying to network, trying to get out there. And I really took that really sort of that one really sort of resonates with me because that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm working 40 hours a week. I have 3 days off to do this schoolwork to for this class and others to make sure it gets done. And really, it really sort of spoke to me isn't necessarily the right word, but I understood that it is important that you need to be um, interacting with people, interacting, really extending and really putting it out there. It's not enough to just come in and do the work, almost, unfortunately. Um, I would say that was the big thing I learned from that interview. It did shed some light on the stuff that goes beyond regular interactions between librarians and faculty and students, and the people they serve. More with like, I don't really want to say that the politics that has to be played, but more like the extra work that has to be done. The all the meetings, all this other stuff, attending conferences. Like when you're in a role like that, um, as the head of a department, like that does you do have to do this extra stuff besides just oh yeah, maybe I need to man the desk for an hour or two and help you with research, but also at 4 p.m. I got to go meet with the faculty senate. Oh, tomorrow I need to be in DC for to the American Library Association. Oh, next week is the Maryland Library Association meeting on the Eastern Shore, so I got to be out of town for that. And it's a lot more than just clocking in, doing what you got to do, and leaving. And that's not that surprising, not really. Even in um, what I do as a cook, like you do still see that. Like there's still your managers won't always be there. They do have to go and do other stuff. They might have to go between restaurants. In a weird way, I found similarities like that where yeah, there is a lot more you have to do than just showing up and hopping on the line and cooking food for people. Just like there's more that you have to do than just showing up and manning the desk or stocking books or this or that. Um, at the end, I did ask. There was a personal question I had about the library, basically asking what's up with their media collection. These weren't really relevant to the actual interview, but it was something I wanted to ask since it was there, and I am interested in collecting DVDs and whatnot. For some reason, all of their DVDs there are sun damaged, and she didn't really know that. And this turned into a whole conversation about like, are people like buying DVDs again? And I had to explain like, yeah, no, they actually are. They used to have a very well maintained, well done media section, and then the head of media there or whomever or whatever the position was, the librarian for that, like left, and they just never filled it. So they still have all these DVDs and VHS tapes, even I think, that are just kind of sitting around, not really getting anything done with them. Um, as of this time, I've already followed up with her to thank her again. I thanked her several times before the interview started, at the end of the interview, and I've already sent an email thanking her again for her time. As of right now, personal steps I intend to take are mostly signing up for these associations, these conferences, getting involved to be uh, to start networking as much as I sort of detest the notion of networking. I found it a very interesting, very helpful interview that there is a lot to take from it for me personally, and I liked it. It was good. It was good.